Hey, after I recorded my first video on Ezekiel 36, someone mentioned something important in a comment. I do read and think about all the comments you leave. They're important to me. Even when I disagree with them, they sharpen my thinking, make my videos more accurate, and make my arguments better. And that's why I'm asking you to subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and leave a comment. Now, back to the passage in question. There is a point made in Ezekiel 36 that's important to Calvinists. For the sake of accuracy, I'll quote the whole thing from Ezekiel 36:24 to 32. For I will take you out of the nations. I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your own land. I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. Then you will live in the land I gave to your ancestors. You will be my people, and I will be your God. I will save you from all your uncleanness. I will call for the grain and make it plentiful, and will not bring famine upon you. I will increase the fruit of the trees and the crops of the field, so that you will no longer suffer disgrace among the nations because of famine. Then you will remember your evil ways and wicked deeds, and you will loathe yourselves for your sins and detestable practices. I want you to know that I am not doing this for your sake, declares the sovereign Lord. Be ashamed and disgraced for your conduct, people of Israel. Our Calvinistic friends build a great deal of their doctrine on the idea that you do not want salvation because you have a heart of stone, and that God has to give you a new heart before you can want salvation, before you can respond to the offer of salvation. And this is one of the passages they base this doctrine on. However, there are a couple of problems with using this passage in that manner. First of all, it is in no way clear that this passage is speaking of salvation. God is speaking to a people who are already His, the people of Israel, and He is calling them back to Himself. He is calling them to obedience. He is calling them to obey the Old Testament law. This passage is more closer to being a New Testament passage calling Christians to holiness than it is a passage teaching Christians about the need for regeneration to come before faith. But, it could be argued, not every person in Israel truly belonged to the Lord. So can't we think of this as a passage where God is calling His earthly people into a salvation relationship with Himself? This is unlikely. Read the text again. Yes, it talks about their sins, but it also talks about plentiful grain, the fruit of the trees, the crops of the field, and living in their own land. Again, this passage is much more in keeping with the theme of God's people being obedient. But let's concede the point for the moment. Maybe this is God calling the Israelites to salvation, but that still doesn't mean the Calvinistic interpretation is correct. They use this passage to say that God has to first replace the heart of stone with the heart of flesh, and then after that you can believe. But that's not what the passage is saying. The Calvinists are reading Calvinism into the passage and then using it as a support for Calvinism. A non-Calvinist can read this passage and interpret it as having nothing to do with the Ordo Salutis, and everything to do with how God works in the life of the new Christian. First, we believe, and then God gives us a new heart. And you know what? The non-Calvinist interpretation is much more in keeping with the context. If you think this channel might interest you or might benefit you, I encourage you to subscribe and to share with your friends. Remember, you have free will. You can freely choose to subscribe and share. Until next time, God bless.